What is going on, guys? Your boy Gamers Goon here today for your Thursday, April 2nd WrestleMania week video. Today we are counting down my top 5 favorite matches of all time. Now, I'm going to throw out a quick disclaimer here. I was not born for some of the Bret Hart matches or some of these matches that you might think, hey, why is this guy not picking that? Some of these matches, I wasn't invested in the build, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I know that match between Bret Hart and whoever, and Stone Cold was such a great match. I'm not going to sit here and say that. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know everything. These are the best matches that I've seen personally. One is before my birth. But other than that, I just want to throw that out here. These aren't the best matches of all time. These are my favorite matches of all time. Fifth, the first one that comes to mind. Now this is I'm going from 5 to 1. So number 1 is going to be my favorite, but we're going to start up at number 5. My fifth favorite match of all time is Money in the Bank 2011. We have John Cena versus CM Punk. This is around the time where CM Punk was playing into the storyline of him not signing with the WWE, and John Cena demanded that Vince McMahon reinstate CM Punk so that they could have one last match for the WWE Championship at Money in the Bank in Chicago in front of CM Punk's home crowd. I went back and I watched this match before putting this match on here because this is one of the matches that I've gone back a few times and watched, but it's not one of the ones I consistently go back and watch. But everything about this match came off as perfect. I remember the build. CM Punk, obviously, he wants to be the face of the company. He wants to have his face on the cups. He wants to have his face on ice cream bars, whatever it might be. They played in the real life situation of how John Cena was the face and CM Punk wanted to be the face, but Vince was holding him back from doing what he wanted to do. So I mainly love this match specifically because of what it kind of like it represents. You feel me? So the crowd in this match is very lively because obviously it's a Chicago crowd, and with CM Punk, their hometown hero here. You have Jerry Lawler playing up on commentary. Hey, this is the only place in the world that's going to be sitting here rooting for CM Punk. I think we all were, but CM Punk very over. And at the end of the night, you have CM Punk winning the WWE Championship as the clock strikes. Well, the clock didn't strike midnight, but that was the thing going in. At the clock strikes midnight, CM Punk's gone from the WWE. He gets the title. He hijacks it out of there. He's in the crowd with the fans celebrating. CM Punk walks out of Money in the Bank, your WWE Champion. Great moment. Great moment. That's why it catapulted itself to number 5. Now, number 4 is a different story. This is the only match that I was not alive for. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I knew about the build or anything going into this match. But I've obviously, being a wrestling fan growing up, we used to have the DVDs of Hell in a Cell and great matches or whatever. One of the things that I've always been a real big fan of is the Mankind Undertaker match, Hell in a Cell, King of the Ring, 1998. Great match. Great match. I don't know if it's because I fell in love with it like when I was probably 8 years old, watching it for the first time on DVD when they started selling those. But for some reason, that's the match that got me invested in Hell in a Cell. I'm sure it's the same for a lot of people. Obviously, when you have Mankind, Mick Foley, go flying off the top of the cell, it's gonna be a pretty big moment. And then on top of it, he got thrown through the cell. Landed in the ring. Ridiculous spots. Those are not things you can script without being very cautious. And you could tell they were definitely not cautious about throwing Mick Foley at the top of the cell. They weren't cautious. Foley got put on a stretcher, comes back, Undertaker ends up beating Mick Foley, Mankind, at King of the Ring 1998. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of you have seen that match, but if you have not seen that match, I highly recommend you go and see it, because that's coming from somebody that wasn't invested in the build. I wasn't even born yet. I hardly knew the whole Mankind gimmick. I've been more knowledgeable about Mick Foley, the guy, rather than the wrestler. But that's to me, that's just a crazy moment, and that's always just lived as one of my favorite moments that I've ever seen personally. Obviously watching it back, but I wasn't alive for it, so I don't. It could be number one if I knew the whole story going up to it. But I've just been able to watch the match, and it's been phenomenal every time I go back and watch that one. Now, this next match is actually number 3, and that is simply because I go back and I watch this match at least once a year. 2 and 1, I don't necessarily go back and watch once a year, but it's because of the impact it had on me as a child growing up that they are number 1 and number 2. But this match is TakeOver Brooklyn 1, Sasha versus Bayley. This is the match that obviously started the whole women's revolution, whether you like it or not, whether you want to admit it or not. This was the match. Everything going on in this match back then, I don't think anybody really was invested in the women's division. I know I wasn't. I'm not going to sit here and, oh yeah, I was a big fan. No. What those 2 women did at TakeOver Brooklyn, that is what transitioned to me to being, I'm only here because I like seeing the Randy Ortons and the Edges and the Undertakers and the Shawn Michaels. That transitioned from me to that to liking the high work rate stuff. Obviously, growing up, you'd be more for the what do you want to say? The larger than life characters. But once you hit a certain age or you finally get that certain match that transitions things, then you start turning into one of those people that you just appreciate the art of wrestling. And this match right here is what did it for me. This was 2015. I would have been 13 years old at the time. Absolutely ridiculous that what those 2 women did. You have Sasha Banks, the heel, the dastardly heel, going in there, stomping on Bayley's hand, pushing her hand in the stairs. You got Bayley finally, after all these times of trying to become the women's champion in NXT, after Sasha, her best friend, turned her back on her, you finally have Bayley beating her best friend for the biggest win of her career in front of a Brooklyn crowd, which is one of the best crowds you can ever ask for outside of maybe Chicago. Great crowd. Good stuff. You have Bayley finally overcoming it. You have the hug at the end. You have the 4 horsewomen in the ring. That's what transitioned me from the larger-than-life characters to the work rate style of wrestling that I appreciate now. And on top of that, that is also what got me invested into the women's division. So, shout out to Sasha and Bayley for everything. They've transitioned me into being a wrestling fan. Because that was kind of the moment where I finally understood why I was a pro wrestling fan. Yeah, I appreciate the John Cena's. I really do. But back then it was just I like John Cena. He's a cool guy. I don't know why I'm still watching the show. But now I came to appreciate the work rates because of that match. It was absolutely ridiculous to me that 2 women could go in there and do what Sasha and Bayley did. Next, we have The Undertaker vs. HBK at Mania 25. Now, this was the better match. But I have this one here for a reason, and a reason specifically. And I'll talk about it. I'm actually, yeah. And I'll let you also know who number 1 is. Undertaker and HBK Mania 26 is number 1. And the reason I have it ordered like this is Undertaker and HBK was a great match. I go back and watch that match about maybe once every 2 years. Just the way they made that match work. You have Shawn Michaels doing the flip off the... Everything about that match and the crowd and the lighting on the match, it's iconic to me. It really is. And then obviously with Mania 26 being streak versus career, building up, Undertaker was not going to let Shawn Michaels face him 2 years in a row unless Shawn Michaels put his career on the line. And Shawn Michaels did do that. And growing up, I was a fan of Shawn Michaels and I was a fan of HBK. Well, I mean, Shawn Michaels and DX, that's what I meant to say. Shawn Michaels and HBK, obviously same person. He's one of the guys that really got me into wrestling. My dad used to watch it. He used to watch it, and I'd just sit down, watch some with him, kind of just popping at some of the stuff like, oh, John Cena, I like that guy. He seems cool. But HBK is kind of the person, at least, that kept me around. Like I said, that's not the match that got me worked on the what's it called? The work rate. But that's the larger than life character that I fell in love with that kept me around. Because I saw what Shawn Michaels did for me. I remember WrestleMania 26. I was so sad. Like, I was crying. I'm not even joking when I say this. I was crying for about 2 hours after WrestleMania 26. That was the first WrestleMania I ever watched on pay-per-view. I've never ordered a WrestleMania before that. I was probably, what would that have been? That would be 10 years ago. So I would have been about 8. I was bawling. I was straight out bawling my eyes out for about 2 hours, something like that. And I really could not sleep that night knowing that my favorite wrestler got his career ended. If you really don't believe me, I'm not lying when I say it. I literally had to sleep downstairs in my parents' room because I was so sad. Like, I literally could not sleep. They had to, like, force me to go to sleep. I had school the next night. I don't even know what grade it would have been. Probably like kindergarten, maybe first grade, whatever it might have been. But I was bawling because of what HBK has done for me. He is the guy that I invested my time in growing up. When I was like 6, 7, 8, they came to the house show here in town. What was I wearing? I was wearing a DX shirt and I had the glow sticks. It's not because of Triple H. It never was because of Triple H. It was always because of Shawn Michaels. Going into the pay-per-view, I was like, Dad, the only thing I want this year is I want to watch that match because I want to see whether or not my favorite guy of all time, Shawn Michaels, is going to retire. I believe that was my first pay-per-view ever watched. Don't quote me on that, but I do know for a fact it was my first WrestleMania watching live on pay-per-view. But that was... When I tell you that match meant so much to me, it was ridiculous. Like, I just could not function for a long time after HBK retired. He came out on Raw after Mania, and you had him come out. I'm not even joking when I say this. Shawn Michaels came out to, You Think I'm Cute, comes out, whatever, his music. He comes down, Undertaker comes out, and just, like, kind of stares at him. And Shawn Michaels like, no, I'm not here to fight. I'm here to say goodbye. When Shawn Michaels said goodbye, I flipped the switch back over again. The Raw after Mania. I went from being sad the night before to finally getting over it about probably middle of the day, Monday. Turn on Raw, and then Shawn Michaels comes out. And I start feeling sad again. I'm like, I'm not even joking when I tell you I cried. It was a moment I'd never expected coming. He was the guy that really got me invested into wrestling as some sort of entertainment, as a life, or as a larger-than-life character. And he kept me around because I wanted to see who the next Shawn Michaels was going to be, who the next person that I was going to find to be a big fan of, whether it be John Cena, whether it be Randy Orton, whether it be Triple H, whether it be The Undertaker himself. I'm not going to lie to you when I say this. I did not forgive The Undertaker for about 3 years. I did not. It was not until... It was 4 years, actually. It was not until he faced Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania... Or, was it WrestleMania 30? Which WrestleMania was it? No, WrestleMania 31. 5 years that I did not forgive The Undertaker. I hated The Undertaker. When I tell you I hated him... Going back now, I think Brock Lesnar beating Undertaker was a horrible decision. But when it happened, you know who was happy? Me. And I didn't even like Brock Lesnar. I did not like Brock Lesnar. And I was happy because I did not like The Undertaker. Because of what he did to my favorite wrestler of all time. It's just something that I didn't forgive for a long time. Anyways, thank you for tuning in to my top 5 favorite matches of all time. I know that I said number 1 kind of made me upset. But looking back at it, that is one of the reasons why I'm still a wrestling fan. So that is why it's marked so high. It's such a big moment in my life. So that's why I marked everything so high. The only two big moments that I wouldn't say were a big moment in my life were the first two. But definitely both HBK and Undertaker matches played a huge role into my life and who I came out to be. And then obviously the Sasha and Bayley match turned my wrestling fandom from the larger in life characters to more focused on work rate. So now I like guys like a Darby Allin or whoever it might be, a Johnny Gargano, Sammy Guevara, whoever, the work rate guys. Anyways, I will see you guys on the SmackDown video, because this is getting uploaded Thursday. I already uploaded actually I did not upload them. I made my WrestleMania predictions already today, before my Zoom class, and you'll get those on Saturday morning. Anyways, I will see you guys later this week while we continue WrestleMania week. I will see you guys next time.